All right, everybody, it's been a while since we've done a Cat's Corner. I'm very excited to do the sit down with Dave from CATSTRAP. It is a product that we've partnered up with them to help sell to our customer base. We believe in the product, we love the product, but Dave, give our viewers a quick introduction to yourself and the company.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Nick. Yeah, excited to chat with you. Yeah, my name is Dave Birsen, with the company CATSTRAP, and we are in the theft space for catalytic converters, which, as you guys know, has been a big problem as of late. And we were pretty early to the solution space. Been doing this for about 8 years now.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's actually my dad was in the automotive repair business for as long as I can remember. And so kind of the origin story of CATSTRAP does start from back then. And basically we were solving a problem for one of his local customers. I was actually in college at the time, and we kind of got it off the ground together. I did my senior entrepreneurship project on CATSTRAP, and this was before anyone had even heard of catalytic converters. And the problem was like pretty small back then. This is like 2012, 2013.
Mhm.
And but there was a local need for it, so we kind of came up with like the first prototype, and just helped out like one of the local guys. And then it's been a gradual evolution since then, which I'm sure we'll get into. But so yeah, we're a family run company. It's been a really kind of organic growth story of just starting small and letting the market drive our growth. And yeah, now we're here, and installed nationwide on vehicles over the country, and just doing our best to keep up and make sure that we're helping people prevent thefts as much as possible. So far so good.
That's awesome. What kind of shop did your dad have? Was he working on what kind of aspect was he working on?
Yeah, he when he branched out and started in the small business kind of journey, he started with a Tuffy Automotive. He was like a franchisee back in the 90s, and then it was just general purpose automotive repair. A lot of it was just to consumer vehicles. There's some business to business type of work there too. But yeah, he at one point had three different centers going, and then since this is all grown, his final shop actually was all converted over to manufacturing of the CATSTRAP. So that's which is where we are now. So yeah, it's a nice large facility here. But yeah, that's kind of where we got our starts.
So I assume you had a customer. You mentioned he was trying to find solutions for customers. Um, so you were seeing some theft back in 2010. Um, did
Yeah, probably like 2012, I think, is when that happened.
12? Okay.
But yeah, it was a local here in Toledo, Ohio, which is where we're located. Someone was out to get this small business. They
Okay.
were drilling holes in their gas tanks, and
Oh,
and
wow.
wiped out all their converters overnight. And I think it happened, a couple of times, and then
Was it like
he
a
was
car
kind of
dealership?
desperate. It was a small like delivery fleet.
Okay, like a
Yeah,
fleet
maybe
size.
like 20 trucks. I guess it was a small business.
And someone was
Yeah.
targeting them, stealing their cats. It sounded like they were maybe not doing it for the value of the cat. Maybe they were doing it to be
Who
vindictive.
knows? I mean,
Who
back then,
knows?
I don't think
Weird.
there was a ton of value
They
in
were
it,
messing with
but
the gas tanks too.
right,
And there absolutely
right.
was still value there. It's just kind of was still like a secret, and like
Yeah.
the cat's out of the bag, really, right? Like everybody knows about them. Everyone that knows about catalytic converters, their first thought is theft, I believe. I think that's their first thought. A guy like me
at
in
this
the,
point. Yeah.
with a recycling background, I think about recycling. I think about the legitimate people that get them from a day-to-day business, from like a shop that had to replace one or something, like a tow company picked up a totaled car, the insurance company signs off on it, so they scrap it and they're gonna either have their local recycler cut the cap for them or they'll cut it themselves. There's so many
Mhm.
legitimate avenues to recycle them, but obviously the bad players out there, the thieves are are being opportunistic and they're learning which ones to target. They're learning how to do it. I mean, shit, they can do it in under 2 minutes if they're set up right. And your product, can you kind of go into what was the first prototype? Did your dad make it or did you make it or you guys kind of both work on it?
Yeah, I'll give credit to him. He came up with the first kind
The
of
first.
prototype, and it looked a lot different than what it is today. But the very first one was basically just this uh, uh, band of fiberglass, and he was getting hardened steel pins. He was actually hardening them himself with like a blowtorch here, and just kind of doing like an at-home metal annealing process of hardening it. And then they were using some like JB Weld type muffler cement adhesive to put these steel pins um, on either side of the converter body on that first batch, which was possible because he knew what type of vehicle it was. It was like some amount of like just like a custom internal job for that customer. And then I think the purpose of that the fiberglass kind of material that went over top of it was kind of just to hide those hardened steel pens, so the thief wouldn't really know that they were there, or how to approach it. Just that they would just know that, hey, my sawzall blade's not getting through this exhaust pipe as quickly as I'm normally doing it. And so yeah, that was like prototype 1.0. And then we knew that in order to actually do something that you could market to a broader a broader base with lots of different types of vehicles, that the universal feature of it would take some brainstorming and figuring out how to make it flexible, as opposed to these half inch rigid steel pins basically. And so from there, we got into the aircraft grade, steel cables, which
Mm-hmm.
give sawzalls a heck of a time, especially when they're moving around. And then fast forward to today, we're kind of using a combination of metals, with the strategy being that any one cutting tool isn't good at cutting all different types of metals, and having multiple layers of metals that are kind of have freedom of movement on top of each other just makes it really difficult for we do think of it in large part in terms of a sawzall being the weapon of choice here,
It
which
is. I mean, it's gotta be. I mean, that's me making assumptions, but from what I see and who I talk to, it's a sawzall. And those are
Yeah, I would
cutting
say
tools.
90 to 95% plus are Sawzall. A small fraction a die grinder. And I mean, I've heard everything. I've heard guys attaching chains onto the exhaust and
Ripping
pulling
them
it
out.
out with a truck, and
And this is a
a
deterrent.
pipe cutter.
I mean, this is a deterrent. You're never gonna, like, any security device isn't gonna give you 100%, secure aspect of it. Like, even a home security device, but, you can still break into that home with a security device, but that alarm where, like the cops are coming, that can get you. On this one, they know, oh shit, I'm gonna have to spend an extra 10, 15 minutes under there, or whatever that time is. It could be longer. Uh,
Yep.
I think the threat of getting arrested, the deterrent, and that's where we have been preaching to everyone like this is a deterrent. I'm not saying you can't cut through it, but it's a whole lot harder to cut through this than what you got. It's better than nothing, and in my
It is, yeah.
the best universal thing out there. And I mean, granted, there's the cage guys, the guys building the cages around them. Did you guys ever think of going that route? The cage aspect, the shield aspect? Have you thought about that or no?
Uh, like flat metal shields are the huge drawback is that you have to make them custom for every vehicle out there, which is really
Yep.
tough to do.
Which makes it a lot
And
more
there's a place
expensive.
yeah, it's expensive and there's a place for it, but where we saw that in terms of offering a solution for people, there was really limited universal options, and still we're one of the two basically that are semi-universal today, and yeah, cable cages can work well. There's some vulnerabilities there because those cables have to be fixed somewhere, and wherever you do fix them, that is a point of I guess of weakness. Anywhere that those cables aren't free to move, it makes it easier to cut. Just like trying to cut a piece of string that's loose with scissors is hard. And what do? You pull it tight and
Yep.
make it so you snip through. So it's kind of the same principles there. But yeah, I think that where we're at now, we feel really good about it from a product standpoint, being confident that there's a really, really high probability that once this is installed, there's not going to be a successful theft afterwards. And to your point too, I mean, it is a deterrent, and we would never want to use the word, uncuttable, in a definite sense. I mean, a guy with a die grinder could disassemble an entire car if unlimited time
Yes.
and irrationalization. But for all intents and purposes, we're making a thief's life so much more difficult than just going after something that's unprotected, which, let's face it, probably 99% of cars still are today. And so for that reason alone makes it so likely that they're just going to move on. But if they do want to go after it, they're going to have a heck of a lot of work to try to get this off. So yeah, from a product standpoint, we've in a pretty strong place, and we comfortable giving people some assurance that this really is going to work.
Yeah, and I know you talked about it last time we were on the phone, but we plan to do some tests we want to find two identical cars.
Yeah.
We want to do a test with it and without it. And I've seen some tests out there, but they're throwing them on a lift. That's not
Right.
fair. That's not comparing that's comparing apples to oranges, man. Like what kind of
Yeah, a guy on his back looking
yeah, a guy
up
on a back
is
with this much space, it's not going to be
right.
easy, man. Especially when you throw in those moving cables, when you throw in that, there's just I firmly believe that they see it, they move on. Now the shitty part about that, they go to your neighbor, but but at least you're covering
Right.
your own, you're covering your own. And it's a complicated issue. For everyone out there, they should know we're recycler converters. That's how we got into this game. And then we've been looking for a good type of partnership on the theft deterrent because we know how important that is. And like we are trying to actively pass legislation here in Idaho to make it harder to sell converters for thieves. We want to keep avenues open for legit businesses because the amount of cat skin stolen it's high, but the amount of cats recycled legitimately is a much higher. So there's a room for both.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to have both avenues open. And we're still fairly new on selling them. We've sold them to a few fleets in California. They've ordered multiple times from us. So that means to me they like the product. The people that put it on seem to really like it. We are continuing to work to get it out there to communicate properly what it does. Because you know this as well as me. Like we post something on social media and everyone just says, "Oh, that thing, I can cut right through that." I'm like, well, like from looking at a picture, a lot of people think it's just the fiberglass wrap, you know,
Yeah,
but
right,
there's
right.
more to it, you know. So we're trying
Yeah,
to communicate like what's inside of it and what it does. We're
exactly.
just trying to educate people and give people choices, man. Like that shit sucks if you went out and your car got the cat stolen, you know? If you put another one
It is,
on,
yeah.
you have to pay.
Yeah, talk to lots of angry people every day who just can't even believe it happened to them. And so
Yeah, I
yeah, a lot
mean,
of
we're putting them all on all our vehicles here, so we can help protect our own vehicles. And it's just we we brought it to SEMA with us. You met us there. We brought it to
yep.
SEMA. These are people that work on cars every day for a living. These people own shops for a living. 99% of the people absolutely love the product. I wish we would have been set up at the time to sell them on the spot because I would have sold 200 of them. Um, Maybe next year we'll be ready to do that.
That's
That
right.
tells me this product's good. The people that work on cars, they're car people, they're passionate about it. They loved it. People that maybe aren't car people, they just don't understand exactly the functionality of it. And I think until they get a cat stolen too, they might not really care, you know. And unfortunately, I think the preventative measures are going to be huge. Like, think, you know, I've been talking to a few like used car dealerships, you know, about them just throwing them on there or maybe adding it to the package. Like, hey, we'll throw in this anti-theft cat device, you know, for you before you drive it off the lot for an extra X amount of dollars, however much money they want to do to install it, you know? And I think that could be
Yeah.
huge, you know, on the used car sales, manufacturing level, even. I don't know. I think there's just so many avenues. And I mean, like any product,
Yeah.
I'm go ahead.
I think it's been a cumulative kind of nuisance, especially for business owners, where it's not necessarily that they're getting wiped out, you know, every month even, but if it happens a few times a year, or heck, even once or twice a year, you know, they're still looking at, you know, the cost of their vehicles being out of service. A dealer, you know, potentially has tens of thousands of dollars of inventory that's unsellable, while they're waiting for, you know, the converter supply chain to come through. So you're waiting for parts. Yeah, if you're if those are, you know, service-based vehicles, for example, like a landscaping company or
Mhm.
HVAC repair, I mean, that's a ton of cash, you know, aside from just the cost of getting the vehicle, you know, repaired. That, you know, they're lost revenue on being able
Yeah,
um,
that's a
to
good
do
point.
their
I've never
work. And so
looked at it that way.
um,
That's a great point.
a lot of folks we talk to, that's just the biggest thing is like, man, like of course the repair bill sucks, but it's our, you know, time out of service of our fleet that we can't predict, and you know, completely, you know, changes their scheduling projections and everything. And so um uh, yeah, you know, I think this is the problem itself has been occurring for um long enough time now. Like, you know, I guess the last 3 years things really picked up in terms of converter theft. And you know, people are starting to say, okay, like I really understand the proactive, you know, benefits of doing this, because they either it's happened to them, or they know someone that it's happened to. And
Mhm.
I think the calculations are starting to get a little more clear that, hey, this, you know, it's not going away. It's an annoyance, it's a nuisance, it's lost revenue. And you know, if we can do something where we know exactly what the cost is to protect these things, and then we don't have to worry about it again,
Mhm.
it's becoming a little easier decision. So I think, you know, I see that, you know, a lot of the business growing in that direction. in 2023 and forward. But it'll be interesting to see what happens, with the thefts and everything. I kind of feel like there's this generation of criminals now who have just kind of learned the trade of converter theft, unfortunately, but it doesn't seem to be going away, and so we're obviously want to get our names out there, and you guys are an awesome partner in helping to do that, and so we're looking forward to helping more people prevent this.
Yeah, it's not going to happen overnight, but the more vehicles we can get this on, the more fleets, the more businesses that buy into it, like the word will get out to thieves. Like, well, like shit, like it's not as easy as it used to be, and they're not going to quit being thieves, unfortunately. They're just going to go steal Nikes, they're going to go
Right.
it's still something else.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
then we'll have to pivot and figure out what else needs to be
we'll have to
protected after
pivot as a
converters, but
society.
yeah,
We'll have to pivot.
that's
I
right.
know there's some federal legislation trying to go through. I'm not sure if they're trying to push it through this year, but I've heard rumblings about some federal legislation, like actually making the manufacturer stamp VIN numbers on the converters.
Mhm.
Yeah, it'll be huge. But by the time that goes through, that's gonna be 2, 3 years down the road. And by the
Right.
time most of those cats start getting really recycled legitimately, that'll be another 3, 4 years. And then, I mean, but it could really help that part of it. But it's going to be a combination of anti-theft devices like the CATSTRAP, better buying practices by the recycling community, better communication between the police and recyclers. I think there's some that could be improved tremendously. We're actively trying to do that in our neck of the woods, and we're actively trying to be Murder Reclaims and ISRI member. We're trying to help the recycling communities develop those better systems. So we have one kind of uniform system where it really helps, but it's really going to be a combination of all of it to help slow this down, and part of it maybe the anti-theft, and then also some ways to prosecute the guys that do
Yeah,
that, you know. So
absolutely.
I think those are two deterrents that are different, but the one that I think could happen sooner than later is putting a strap on your car so you don't go out there and it sounds like it just sounds god awful and doesn't work and you
Like a
can't.
Harley. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a Harley.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll put some links on there. Anything else to share from the CATSTRAP world? Anything you guys are working on? Any just trying to push it out to more people?
Yeah, we're obviously always going to continue to improve. Power tools get better every year, so that means the
Yeah,
deterrents will have to as well. But yeah, we're playing around with some kind of new product ideas as well. We get a lot of people who ask if is there anything you can do on there to like a little revenge aspect, some exploding blue dye, something along those
yeah.
lines. So we're
I get a lot
we're
of
we're toying
feedback.
around with some things, and yeah, hopefully can share some stuff soon. But
That would
no,
be.
onwards and upwards from here.
I've heard a lot of feedback where people want to run electricity through them, so get electrocuted. I don't think
we're,
we
we're gonna need some
ever
good
have.
lawyers for that, but
Yeah, we'd have to really lawyer up to do that, but that's a lot of feedback I've gotten. I know most of those comments are like joking,
right.
at least I hope they are, but
There's a
um
lot of keyboard warriors out there, but
there's a ton of
yeah,
tough guys when they are behind a keyboard, and they don't know where
that's
we're
right.
located. But I understand the frustration too. I try to be compassionate
Totally,
about the
totally.
keyboard warriors. They're that vocal because people are pissed. Like people are just
They
fed up,
are, yeah.
pissed. So
And
they're
rightfully so. I
rightfully
get
so
it,
they're
but
so they want to blame someone, and a recycler is an easy target to blame.
yeah.
But we're trying our part to make it better. I appreciate your time, Dave. I'm gonna come check out.
Likewise.
I'm gonna check out your. Maybe we'll do another one of these where we could do a tour of your facility.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah.
we'll do a follow-up. Even like, are you gonna be in Ohio next week?
The following, yeah,
Let's do it. In
the
2 weeks,
first week of February, yeah.
we call that portion boots on the ground. I usually like
Yeah.
a person for that, but we'll do a Zoom boots on the ground where you can give us a quick tour of your facility.
Yeah, that'd be great. We've just endured a snowstorm here. And so today actually like half of our staff didn't make it in because they're kind of far away and stuff. So we should be full speed though next time. So it'll be good to show.
All right. Well, thank you, Dave. We'll get this up here soon. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Thanks, Nick.